guys, it's been a long day already, so hopefully my second cup of coffee at the bright and early hour of 10 a.m. will help me out. And welcome to the mid-year freakout book tag. Let's get down to business, shall we? Thus far in 2023, I have read 47? Hold that thought. My mistake. 49 books. And looking back on my reads so far, do I regret setting my Goodreads goal for 100 books? No, and here's why. 100 is a good solid number, slightly challenging, but still attainable, for me at least. I'm just choosing to ignore Goodreads saying that I'm 2 books behind schedule. My faith in myself is a strong force. I'm not gonna continue to downslide, I'm gonna upslide. Y'all just wait and see. I love Goodreads so much. So much. Not frustrating to use at all in the slightest. Oh, as always, my Goodreads is linked down below. Feel free to hit me up with a friend request. I hope you all aren't tired of this annual tag. I personally love partaking in this trend as just a little way to check in on everyone, see how everyone's doing with their reading. The majority of my reads this year have been mediocre. Don't love that, but hopefully in the second half of the year that will change. Still, I've read some great books that we'll be chit-chatting about today. I'll of course have the questions listed down below in the description box so y'all can join in on the fun. All right, first question. What is the best book you have read so far this year? Even if this is the first question, I thought this would be the question that stumped me. To me, this seems like it carries a lot of importance. Like, this is Sarah Elizabeth's favorite book of the year. That is a great accomplishment for the book and the 2 people that care. But there's really only one answer that I can get behind 100% and which I'm confident I will feel the same way towards this book years down the line. That is Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmis. I love talking about this book. It makes me so happy. I get tearful. Happy tears, of course, but I just get overcome with joy whenever I think or talk about this book. Set in the 1960s, this novel follows Elizabeth Zott, a hardworking girl boss chemist. Although she's currently overqualified for her current occupation, all of her colleagues, predominantly male colleagues, all dismiss her work because she's a woman. Fast forward a few years and Elizabeth finds herself a single mother even though she never wanted children in the first place, and she certainly never planned on becoming famous either for a cooking show in which she combines cooking and chemistry. The characters, the plot, the dialogue. Perfection. This novel is quirky, but also phenomenally captures 1960s sexism and women's role in society. I kind of knew from the first chapter that I was going to like this book. I could just tell that it was going to be a Sara book. I'd highly recommend this book to anyone as I feel like there's something in here for everyone. You like romance? You got it. You like lit fic? Here you go. You want a book that will make you laugh out loud in public, which will then turn heads of strangers and make them think, what is wrong with you? This book has you covered. I'm getting a call from Robocaller. Hello? I don't know what that was. Some type of scam. I filmed my reading experience in my Barnes & Noble Worth the Hype video, so go check that out if you're at all interested in this book. Best sequel that you have read so far this year. I took these questions to heart. I even referenced the dictionary for this one. If you're wondering, a third installment in a series is not a sequel. It's a threequel. So, the best sequel I've read this year, aka something that takes place after or the result of an earlier event, is Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. This can be read as a standalone, but I don't know why you would want to skip reading my favorite romance of all time, Part of Your World. So don't do that. Go pick that book up, and then while you're at it, get this book as well. This romance follows the relationship between Bree, Alexis's best friend from Part of Your World, and Jacob, a new ER doctor who will steal your heart. He's a gem, but not big on confrontation. Same. So Bree and his relationship begin with letters they sent each other. And something about all of that stationery and letter sending gave off such bookish energy without any meta book references. I loved how even though each character's previous relationship were a bit difficult, complicated, they found everything they ever wanted in each other. Abby Jimenez's writing perfectly balances being character and plot focused. The whole Part of Your World series is what I look for when I read romances. New release you haven't read yet but want to. I have 3 answers for this one. I couldn't choose just one. Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone by Benjamin Stevenson. That title just gripped me right off the bat, and I love myself a good dysfunctional family thriller. Happy Place by Emily Henry. As for the 2 Emily Henry books I have read, I first read Beach Read, thought it was meh. But then when I read Book Lovers last year, I was like, oh, so this is why everyone likes Emily Henry. So I'm hoping that this will be another Emily Henry hit. It feels like everyone has read this book already. Almost all the booktubers I watch have. My friend's sister has. Yeah, so everyone. I am left out of the loop. I am experiencing FOMO, and I need to fix that. The Soulmate by Sally Hepworth, I do have, as you can see, but I haven't read it yet. I think because I also want to read The Good Sister, I think that's what it's called, by Sally Hepworth, even more so than The Soulmate, but I don't have that book, and I don't know when I will get that book. hopefully soon. Most anticipated release for the second half of the year, Vengeance of the Pirate Queen by Trisha Levenseller. I have been anticipating this book for over 2 years, ever since I read the first book in the series and knew immediately that I would read every book that follows. This book is finally coming out November 7th, and I will be buying this and reading it the soonest I am able to get my greedy little hands on it. If you're not super big into fantasy, maybe give the series a go, because at least to me, I found the whole pirate aspect really fascinating, and since that is based in reality, the story was believable even if there are some magic and fantastical elements. Lots of Pirate of the Caribbean vibes, so if you're into that, this one's for you. As long as you like YA as well, with an undertone of romance, then this one's for you. Biggest disappointment had to be The Couple Next Door by Shirley Lapina. This was so disappointing because I thought this was going to be another shoo-in classic, entertaining Shirley Lapina read, but instead I got a book that took an interesting idea with lots of potential and made it boring. I gave this book 2 stars. This book felt empty. It was missing a lot, both character and plot-wise. And although this isn't my lowest rated book of the year, it was certainly my most disappointing. Biggest surprise. This book you either love or hate, although I can see why you would hate it, and you're totally valid for hating it. I mean, I'm not gonna disagree with you. Everyone has their own opinion. I loved it. The drama, the we shouldn't be together, but we are. That ending. This book was addicting. I'm getting ahead of myself. The Confidence of Wildflowers is a romance set in a small town, and so being the good neighbor she is, our protagonist Salem decides to introduce herself to the new guy who just moved in next door. Enter Thayer, a divorced father, who clearly didn't get the memo on neighborly etiquette because his and Salem's meet cute, let's just say, was not so cute. Still, after Thayer hires Salem to nanny his kid, not only does Salem and this kid bond and grow closer together, but Thayer and Salem do as well. The mixed reviews I had heard made me expect this to be a slow, mediocre romance, so I was massively surprised by how gripping and unput-it-downable it was. The story has a lot of heart to it. Specifically, the love Thayer shows not only his child, but also Salem was so sweet and solidified my love for the story. I generally agree with the notion that romances don't need to be longer than, say, 350 pages. Like, I'm not looking for a life story, but if this was an 800-page novel, I wouldn't have blinked twice. Give me that life story, you know? This was definitely in the running for best book of the year, but I did go with Lessons in Chemistry because that book was a bit more insightful. Still, head over heels adored Confidence of Wildflowers. Favorite new author, debut, or new to you? I have to highlight again Bonnie Garmus. I can't reiterate enough how much I loved her writing in this book, as it was quite humorous and fun to read, but also emphasized important themes. Like, what more could you want? I'm having fun, I'm learning, I'm getting the best of both worlds. This is a book that made me forget I was reading because I was so sucked into the story. There's no doubt in my mind that all the publishers are probably fighting right now, trying to brawl it out as to who gets to publish the next Bonnie Garmus. Newest fictional crush. This is actually kind of funny. I chose the first book in the series to answer this question last year. Yours truly is back again. I loved everything about this man. Jacob is sweet, considerate, a doctor, a plant lover, illiterate. The men in the Part of Your World series. Wait, which one is my favorite? Now that is just a cruel question to ask, but fine, if I had to choose. I'd pick Daniel from Part of Your World, but that is because I just love that book ever so slightly more, and so I am a bit biased towards that book. Newest favorite character. Part of me really wants to say every character in Lessons in Chemistry because every single character was perfect. Elizabeth was an inspirational girl boss. Calvin, the epitome of swoony. 630. Iconic, but now I can't do that. Everyone has that book that they could use to answer every question, and Lessons in Chemistry is that book for me this year. So instead, let's talk about Eve from Act Your Age, Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert. Jacob, we can forget about him. I know romances strive to get you to fall in love with both characters, but Jacob, Like, compared to Eve, Jacob, there's nothing wrong with it. There is absolutely nothing wrong with Jacob, this Jacob in here. But compared to Eve, Jacob was just a mediocre man. Eve was such a lovable, memorable character that really made the book shine for me. Some may call Eve a hot mess, which yeah, but aren't we all kind of in some way or another? But I especially loved seeing Eve's character growth and self-discovery as she becomes kind of her own girl boss. Yeah, so Eve is definitely a new favorite character of mine. Book that made you cry. No book has. No book has made me cry. And I've read sad books. Need I mention A Little Life? But I don't know, in my mind I'm like, that's sad. Yeah, that's sad. But there must be a disconnect from my brain to my eyes because these wells are dry. You know what I should do? Instead of filming a this video ends when I reach a 5-star read, I should film a this video ends when a book makes me cry. That video would never air though because I don't think it would ever end. Book that made you happy. This might seem a bit weird, but I'm going to say The Last Word by Taylor Adams. I recently read this a couple weeks ago and it was such a fun time. This probably is not a book that will cheer everyone who reads it up, but for me, when I read a unique, thrilling book, I'm gonna be a happy camper. I've encountered so many mediocre thrillers that when I find one that sticks out to me, y'all be the first to hear about my love for it. I also quite enjoyed the rainy atmospheric vibes, which were heightened even more by me reading this book during a thunderstorm at night, which was fun. Scary, but fun. There's lots of twists and turns in here, it kept me hooked. You'll hear more about this soon in wrap up. It's by no means perfect, but it did make for such an enjoyable reading experience. Most beautiful book you acquired this year. Riddle Prince by Sophie Lark. Quite clearly, this book is beautiful on the outside, but the illustrations throughout are stunning, which I was certainly not expecting, and if I would have known beforehand, I would have read it sooner. Strawberries have been my favorite fruit ever since, I was going to say a child, but probably ever since I was in diapers. There's a site for ya. You're welcome. Also, the whole aesthetic of the cover, or any of the books really in the Brutal Birthright series, are such my vibe. You wouldn't know this from the outside, but the Brutal Birthright series is actually a mafia romance. Strawberries. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. No, there is actually a meaning behind the strawberries, but I'll save that for you to discover while reading. And then I also have to include Romantic Comedy by Curtis Sittenfeld, because I chose this for my book of the month a few months back solely because of the cover. The graphic designer in me just could not resist making my shelves a little bit more aesthetic by adding this book to my collection. I've not read this book yet, but I believe this is a romance that revolves around an SNL type comedy show, which does actually sound really interesting, so I'm excited to read this. New battery in. Next question. What books do you need to read before the end of the year? A lot. Question 14, favorite book. I'm just kidding, but only slightly. I have a list. This is my reading journals, 23 books I want to read in 2023 spread. If you can't tell, the books colored in I have read, and the books that are blank I ideally would like to get to sometime before the end of the year. I thought I was doing better than I actually am, because it turns out I still need to read Bunny, the Perfect Child, Nightingale, Mindfuck, The Godparent Trap, The Lion Game, All the Dangerous Things, Twisted Tongues, It Starts With Us, The Perfect Marriage, The Summer I Turn Pretty, Happy Place, Before the Coffee Gets Cold, Nine Liars, The Collective, The Fine Print. That's only 16 books. I can see how 17 would be too many, but 16 definitely not. The final question, favorite book to movie adaptation. I cannot answer because I have not watched one single adaptation this year, even though I could have and have been saying that I want to. I know, sad. Am I just saving those movies for a rainy day, or am I just a liar? Who's to say, really? Alright, those are all the questions for the Mid-Year Freakout tag. I feel like as a booktuber, I had to film this video. I didn't have a choice in the matter. Booktube was like, you will film this video. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I would love to hear your answers to any or all the questions down below. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. It really helped me my channel out a lot. You can also comment, interact, subscribe, all that fun YouTube stuff. I'd really appreciate it. I'm wishing you all the best for your reading for 2023. I hope you all are having a fantastic day, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.